Welcome back to Bible and Blues. Now it is time for us to continue on with Rooms by James L. Rupert, chapter 5. I remember this movie. This book was written in the 90s. So I kind of read the first page here before I started, and I was like, yeah, it kind of dates it a little bit there. If you think about it, this was done, with the whole idea of the .com revolution. It really hit Seattle big. Silicon Valley, of course, down in California. It's Seattle. Seattle had a lot of stuff happening with Microsoft, and Apple was becoming really big. So that kind of dates it a little bit. But I think if we can get past some of that stuff, it's still a really good story because, yeah, let's face it, certain things are timeless. So chapter 5, Micah is back in Seattle, and he is. He drove home those 16,000 miles. Kind of a quick recap. There was 16,000 miles on his that he drove over the weekend, and he's like, "No, something's not making sense here." So yeah. But we dealt with that other room. I was off to the side. A lot of things weren't making sense for him. So we're going to continue on. Rooms, chapter 5 by James L. Rupert. "Isn't this energizing?" Micah asked Shannon on Tuesday morning, seeing all these people streaming through the doors, ready to conquer new worlds. She stood next to him in Rimsoft's foyer, her ever-present notepad and mini-calendar in hand. He'd bought her an iPhone the previous Christmas, but she'd never taken it out of the box. They watched the lobby become a river of workers. "Energizing? Not really. Does it energize you?" He hesitated. "Most of the time it still does." Shannon stared at him. "Most of the time?" "Life at the speed of light, 3,000 miles wide, a millimeter deep." "You're not getting philosophical on me, are you?" He ignored the question. Micah spotted Brad, his racquetball partner, across the lobby. Brad's crew cut and horn-rimmed glasses made him look like a blonde Buddy Holly, but he played racquetball like the Tasmanian devil. "Hey, Bradley, get over here." Brad sauntered over. "You want another beating like last month, huh?" "What? Can you say delusional? I can, and you should. Look, I took you down 3 of 4 games last Wednesday. The 4th game, 15-0. Memory okay, my friend?" A few people chuckled as Brad came to a stop in front of Micah. "Nice try, boss man. Maybe in your dreams. It's been a month since we played. I admit, you slice and dice me the first game, but lost the next 3 straight. We would have been 4 if we played another. Ignoring the fact that you were beat like a rug wouldn't change history. After that session last week, I even had to go to the bone crusher to straighten my spine, remember?" Brad's grin drained from his face. "We didn't play last week." He blinked. "You okay, buddy?" "Of course we played." "No, I was in San Fran last week. The whole week." "So your twin stood in," Michael laughed. "That's your excuse for losing." Brad reached into his briefcase and pawed through it. He pulled out a rumpled piece of paper and held it at his side. "Tell me you're kidding, Micah." "About?" Brad held up the paper. It was an Alaska Airlines itinerary. "Take a look at my flights. What's the date?" "April 6th. And the 2nd? April 10. So blow my brains out and tell me how we played racquetball on Wednesday, April 7th, if I was in San Francisco." Micah stared at the paper. "CAT scans are amazing these days. Check it out, maybe." Brad tapped his head. "When you're stressing, the memory always goes first. I'll beat you again Friday morning if you're free." A shiver sprinted down Micah's spine. He stared at Brad, then Shannon. "Micah, want to play?" "Yeah, sorry." Micah turned to Shannon. "Am I open?" "Let me look." "Yes." He flashed a thumbs up at Brad as Brad walked away. "Shannon, what did I do last Wednesday?" She licked her finger and pawed through her calendar. "Conference call at 9. Quick meeting with the bank at 10:15. Then you got ready for an afternoon board meeting." "No racquetball?" She studied her calendar and smirked. "You find this amusing?" Only a little, she spun toward him. You have to admit, Mr. Never Miss a Beat, always in control, missing a beat and being out of control is slightly comical. Hilarious, but that's my point. I don't ever miss a beat. There's not a sliver of doubt in my mind that Brad and I played racquetball last Wednesday, but apparently my memory is the only one in which it exists. That's more than missing a beat. Wouldn't hurt to take a day off. She adjusts her glasses. I just did take a day off last weekend. Cannon Beach? Oh yeah, that's right. Did it help? Micah glared at her. They walked toward the elevators, their tennis shoes squeaking on the polished faux marble floor. So tell me about the place at the beach. Like it? Don't like it? Somewhere in between? I liked it slightly more than I hate it. He punched the button for the top floor. That makes no sense. No question about that. Shannon tapped her lip with her forefinger. Julie tells me you're going to sell it. Yep. You want me to find a real estate agent? Nope. So you really don't want to sell it. You watch the elevator numbers light up from 16 to 17 to 18. I do want to sell it, but I need to get a better feel for the area first. Get a feel for what it would go for. Isn't that what an agent does? Of course it was. It wasn't rational, his wanting to go back down. Something about the house felt so... He couldn't name the emotion. Do me a favor, okay? The next 4 Fridays, can you clear my schedule? Interesting. She raised an eyebrow. You do like this place. No. Michael looks at the ceiling. I'm intrigued. He walked into his office and pulled up his appointment calendar on his computer. He stared at it for more than a minute as a thin layer of perspiration grew on his forehead. He swallowed twice and kept his eyes riveted on the screen. It didn't matter how long he stared. The racquetball games he knew he'd played with Brad had vanished. 2 hours later, Micah stood at his office windows and studied the ferry boats chugging across Puget Sound's dark green waters. The same ocean lapped at the sand at Cannon Beach. Thoughts filled his mind of snow-white sand dollars, sand squeaking under his shoes, and those massive picture windows perfectly framing the surf. If only Archie could have built the house in Lincoln City or Newport, then he'd keep the place forever. But he didn't need Cannon Beach reminding him of the day that ripped his life apart every time he stepped out onto the sand. Shannon stood in his doorway. Julie's meeting starts in 5 minutes. What? Micah blinked and spun toward her. Welcome back to Earth. Shannon pointed down the hall. Julie's meeting. Right. He left his office and met Julie at the conference room door. You ready? Julie smiled. Completely. For the first few minutes of her marketing presentation to their board of directors, Micah listened intently. But as Julie moved into the breakdown of their ad budget, his mind wandered. 3 minutes later, a sketch of his house at Cannon Beach and the surrounding mountains appeared under the rapid movement of his mechanical pencil. And Rimsoft's logo will get an overhaul, Julie's voice droned on. Need to put a sandcastle in there. A few more turrets on it. Perfect. Maybe a few kites in the sky. That's an idea. You should buy one of those high-tech stunt kites. What a kick to learn to fly. Micah? Julie's voice cut through a moment of admiration. She and the board stared at him. You with me here, partner? The lead tip of his pencil snapped off as he looked up. Yeah, sorry. He set his pencil down and folded his arms. Resist. Julie needs the support. He glanced down at the sketch. It begged for a golden retriever. As Julie returned to her left to answer a question, Micah picked up his pencil and clicked twice. The lead leaped out as if at attention. Ready for orders. Micah stopped drawing in the instant Julie finished giving her reply. When the presentation was over, he mouthed, "Nice job," to Julie, who shook hands with board members. She frowned at him. As he strode out the door, his stomach alarm clock went off, and he shut it off with a Diet Coke and a turkey sandwich. Extra mayo from the company deli. When he got back to his office, Julie was leaning against his desk, arms crossed. I know you like doodling sketches when you're in meetings, but this time was a little much. I think you caught 2 minutes of my presentation, max. Was your mental sabbatical to any place interesting? Micah ripped his drawing from his notepad and held it up. In the foreground was an ocean, then the beach with 2 sandcastles, duck kite, and golden retriever leaping from a piece of driftwood, spinning through the air. His home was the focal point of the drawing, framed by trees on both sides, the picture windows in a perfect proportion. Smoke curled out of the chimney. I take it that'll be part of the brochure to get the thing sold? Julie pulled her arms in tighter and leaned back. I hadn't considered that. Yeah, maybe. Don't tell me you're starting to like the place. No way. He stared at his drawing. He couldn't keep his mind off Archie's house. It drew him like a magnet. Yes, Cannon Beach was laced with razor-sharp pain from his past. But now, in some strange way, it filled him with anticipation. And that weird familiar feeling in the house continued to pull at him. I need to ask you something. Micah laid the drawing on his desk and smoothed it out with both hands. I want to make the next 3 or 4 weekends long ones and hang out down there. Be all right with you? Wow, Julie tried to laugh. I've been dished for another woman before, but never a house. Come with me. He kissed her on the cheek. Do you want me to? Sure. Yes. Micah turned back to his drawing. Of course. She shook her head. Nope, sorry. Why? Because I know you. You want to be there. Julie walked over to Micah's windows and tapped on the glass. But you don't want me to be there with you. Micah coughed out a laugh. I just said come with me. Come with me is very different from saying I want you to come. Micah slumped into his chair. Do we have to play the semantics game every time we talk? It's exhausting. He leaned forward and waited for her to answer. She didn't. Fine. I want you to come. Why do you let things come out of your mouth that your eyes tell me are a lie? Micah snatched his cedar letter opener off the desk and tore into the pile of envelopes sitting next to his laptop. I thought you said you didn't like the ocean. I don't, but I still want to see what you'd say. Micah slapped the letter opener down on his desk. Do you think you could serve me up a nice slice of guilt pie with that side of manipulation? You don't get it, do you, Micah? He sighed. What do you want from me? You really want to know? Julie leaned in till their faces were inches apart. Yes. A decision. Take your next 3 or 4 weekends, fine. But when they're over, you better be able to tell me if there's a ring in my near future. Okay. So, this whole chapter was done in Seattle. We see he's very attracted to this house. He's not attracted to Cannon Beach. We're still kind of getting into the nitty gritty, the nuts and bolts of why he hates Cannon Beach itself, what the problem, what happened, the tragedy that occurred that caused the rift between him and his father, and all that, and it makes him hate Cannon Beach so much. Julie definitely, she's feeling second fiddle to the house. This has come up all of a sudden. Her man is now interested in something totally different than what he's been. Something new has come up, and it's kind of rattling her just a little bit. So what did you think? How would you feel? All this is happening. This house is something important now to you, and you didn't expect it to be. And you're having to make these decisions of what you've been doing versus what you want to do versus all these things. And how would you handle this? These are good questions to ask. In our lives, we have these curveballs thrown at us. Maybe they're not as big as a multi-million-dollar house, but we get these things that are thrown at us in our lives. And maybe it's a new job position. Maybe it's moving across the country for a job. Maybe it's things like that. Maybe it's a new hobby that's taking up a lot of your time, like YouTube. But maybe how do you handle these things with your loved ones and the people you care about when there's another calling happening? It's a question that I occasionally ask myself is what would I do if God called me to do something very dramatic that would entail possibly even damaging my family life? How would I react? I mean, I don't think he would do that. At the same time, he has done that with other people. How would you react? So here's a situation where Micah has been called to, is being called to this house, being drawn to this house. This house was built by him. and he really feels it, and he doesn't want to let it go yet. And Julie, who really does care about him, her attitude is I'm kind of due for a ring on my finger here. And so we need to make this solidify this and turn this into a marriage instead of just having fun and hanging out kind of thing. So anyway, I'm not going to really digress too much further into this. I want to hear your comments about this chapter. What did you think? What did you think about Micah? Apparently has a bit of an artistic ability as well as his programming ability. What do you think about him just kind of doodling up and all that? I'm just completely getting lost in it when he's supposed to be in a board meeting. Ever been in a board meeting? Yeah, they suck. So anyway, God bless everybody. I'll talk to you later. It is Friday night. There is a couple episodes left of Emerald City. I'm going to be doing that one late tonight. So you'll have a great evening. I love y'all.